This isn't my usual beat, but when I got a tip about this, I knew I had to cover it because Flair Airlines left well over 100 passengers stranded in and around a Cancun airport for 3 days, giving them tiny portions of food that look like something out of Fyre Festival, which caused passengers to ration. And that's not even the worst of it. Here's what happened. I spoke with one passenger who described her treatment at the hands of Flair Airlines as inhumane.
People were sleep deprived, food deprived, and just completely deprived of information to know how long this was going to go on for, waiting in the airport all day on a series of delays that never takes you anywhere.
Initially, their flight was canceled due to a safety issue, but keep in mind that through all of this, the communication was apparently trash, confusing, or completely incorrect. The entire time, no full refunds were offered, and flights on other airlines were over $1,000. After the first cancellation, passengers were rebooked on a flight for the next day on what they thought would be a different plane, and they were sent to a hotel. At boarding time on day 2, they get on a hot bus. They're held on the tarmac for an hour and a half before returning to the airport. They finally board the plane hours later and realized it was the same plane as the day before, down to markings on the seat trays. They end up sitting on this plane for hours as well. When they ask what's going on, because remember, their initial cancellation was for safety issues, passengers say they were told the plane is safe and, quote, the doors aren't going to fly off, but that the navigation system was malfunctioning. The confusion caused multiple customers to panic, including full-blown panic attacks. So after hours on this plane, they disembark again. They didn't end up getting a flight home until day 3. People ran out of necessities like feminine hygiene products, medication, and clean clothes. One passenger described cleaning her socks and underwear in the sink on the second night. All in all, it sounds like a nightmare. In an email, Flair told me they deeply apologize, are reviewing their processes and systems for communication, and that incurred costs will be addressed by Flair. But multiple passengers told me the statement has lots of inaccuracies and that it's the first admission they've heard from the airline that it might address incurred costs. Meanwhile, passengers say they're seeking individual fair compensation as outlined in the law, and that failing that, potential class action. According to the president of Air Passenger Rights, Gabor Lukács, this is part of a much bigger issue. He says the government is colossally failing to enforce its own regulations. Regulations that he says have many loopholes in the first place. But that's for another video. Fun time for air travel, eh, folks? What do you think of all this?